cue is on me, or? Good afternoon. My name is Curtis Brame. I am the Sheriff of Vance County. I have prepared a press release regarding to the law enforcement officer involved on February 22nd, this past Saturday of 2025. Updated information. The Vance County Sheriff Office wishes to provide the following update regarding the 22 February the 25th, February 22nd, 2025, officers shortly before noon on the date listed above, the Vance County deputy conducted a traffic stop on US 1 in Kitchener area. During the stop, it was discovered that the driver, Johnnie Mayfield, had numerous outstanding orders for his arrest.
All right. Peace and blessings, ladies and gentlemen. All praises to the Most High. So there you see the bumbling, scatterbrain Sheriff Brame of Vance County in this press release concerning the execution of our brother, Johnnie Mayfield, this Saturday in Vance County. Now, I'm going to play you the rest of that press conference in its entirety, but I also want to play a couple of news clips from tonight and one from yesterday, which contradicts what they are saying happened. Now, if you saw the video I did yesterday, I detailed how Mr. Mayfield was pulled over by the deputies. He fled on foot, which eventually led to him being shot 3 times. And according to the information, the lady told me that he was, executed while in handcuffs. But this narrative that they're saying today, because they have to get their story straight. So for the past 2 days, they've been getting their story straight. You're going to see Sheriff Brame read from a ready-made narrative of Mr. Mayfield running from police, then suddenly appearing out of nowhere in the middle of the road with a bottle in his hand. And according to the sheriff and this deputy who was alone, nobody else saw anything, Mr. Mayfield broke the bottle and said, "I am going to KIL you. K-I-L-L-U. He's going to KIL the officer." And the officer was backing back, and, the officer somehow stumbled. And when he stumbled and got up, then, Mr. Mayfield said, "I'm going to KILL you again," and then lunged at him with the bottle. And then that's when the officer unalived. But you're going to see from this previous article that none of this was mentioned. That scenario is implausible. First of all, it's logistically impossible, implausible. But first of all, it's realistically impossible. How many people are lunging at police with a broken bottle saying, "I'm going to KILL you"? That doesn't make any sense. And what's most disheartening is once again how they tried to criminalize Mr. Mayfield because of some warrants, which were like, you're going to see them, they're like driving violations revoked, no motors operator's license. But you're going to see Sheriff Brame bring up all of the old charges that man has, which is standard procedure when vilifying someone that officers probably unduly or unjustly executed. But listen to this article real quick, and then I'm going to play you the rest of that press conference.
Brame says Johnnie Mayfield was first pulled over for speeding. The deputy ran his name, finding he had multiple outstanding orders for his arrest. At the time, Mayfield was with his pregnant girlfriend driving towards Wake Med. Tonight, his family and loved ones have questions about how this all unfolded.
A prolonged pursuit spanning from the highway to this neighborhood, ending in gunfire. The sound of those shots captured by a homeowner's security camera. Sheriff Brame says Mayfield initially refused to comply with the deputy's orders, running across several lanes on US 1 before getting back into his car and driving off. At this point, his girlfriend no longer in the vehicle.
The deputy continued to pursue Mayfield into Henderson North on US 1.
That chase ended in this neighborhood on West Young Avenue, where Mayfield started running again.
Mayfield walking to the roadway carrying a glass bottle and began to walk towards the deputy, stating, "I'm going to..."
The deputy then drew his weapon and backed up, though lost his footing. Brame says Mayfield then broke the bottle. As the deputy regained his footing, he tells us Mayfield lunged towards him. That deputy then shot.
The distance, I do not know. Whether it was 5 feet, 10, or 20 feet, I do not know.
Brame says Mayfield did not have any other weapon on him. He adds he'll petition for the release of body-worn camera and dash cam footage being investigated by SBI. As a standard procedure, the deputy, whose name has not been released, is on administrative leave.
I spoke off camera with Mayfield's sister after that press conference. She was part of a call this morning with the sheriff. She still has unanswered questions. She wants to see that video footage as well as Johnny's body, also questioning the department's use of force policy, as well as whether or not the situation regarding his warrant could have been handled differently, telling us Mayfield had been in court just days earlier.
Now, that, and once again, my condolences to the Mayfield family, his child's mother, May Bullock. But, you know, there you see that article that was from earlier tonight. And you heard them say, well, he ran through some houses where he was shot. None of that, you know, equated to what first of all, it says that, you know, he got out of the car and ran across the highway and then get back into the car. That doesn't make any sense in itself. If you're running across the highway, that means you ran away from your car. So how could you automatically get back in the car without the deputies, you know, being able to apprehend you? So that doesn't make any sense. The sheriff says, well, you know, I don't know how many feet it was. How do you don't know? Isn't there body camera footage? Right? Didn't the deputy tell you that part? See, and that's why I like these press conferences, because they start asking questions that the officers didn't think of when putting their story together. So that's one good thing about these press conferences. But also, the sister said she wants to see the body. That means they have not even let the family see the body, which further leads to more doctorization. And that's not a word, but I just made it up. More doctorization of the body. Now, watch this clip from yesterday. This is the clip from yesterday that disputes that story about him just appearing in the roadway with the, like, it doesn't make he just appeared in the road after the deputy's chasing him. Then he's just in the middle of the road with a bottle saying, yeah, I'm going to. Come on, please use your brains with this one. But just watch this next news article.
This all started with the car being pulled over miles away from where we are now, then a chase, and then Johnnie Mayfield getting out on foot and ending up here tonight. His family says they want answers.
I'm just trying to hold it together.
It was a happy time for May Bullock, excited to welcome her first child in May with her boyfriend, Johnnie Mayfield.
So I was excited to see him be a dad. I was excited of us having a big dream of us getting a bigger house. Everything.
But this morning, that dream turned upside down. May says she was having pregnancy pains, and she and Johnnie were pulled over, heading to the hospital. Police ran his tags and discovered he had old warrants. She hoped they could figure out a solution, but then things escalated.
He said, I'm not going to jail today. I'm going to go take my baby mama to the hospital. And then he ran across US 1, jumped over the media. The police was chasing him with his gun.
That's when she says he got back into the car and drove off. May was left on the side of the road as police chased after Johnnie.
I'm out here and I'm walking on the side of the highway and my phone goes blank and I don't hear him no more.
By then, Johnnie was back in Henderson, reaching this neighborhood before getting out of his car and running between two houses before getting... You can hear the shots on a neighbor's video. Another neighbor saw him on the ground. He was taken to the hospital and later...
Whether if he jumped out and ran or not, he didn't deserve to be gunned down the way he did. But it was wrong. He was gunned down like a dog.
May says she knows Johnnie has been in trouble with the law before, but wonders why this had to escalate in the first place. A quick search of court records found missed court dates in Johnston and Person counties, which could have led to that warrant.
They didn't have no reason. He didn't have no gun, no weapon, no drugs, no nothing on him.
Now, as she looks for answers, staying strong for Johnnie's legacy.
My baby name would be Ja'Quari Lee Mayfield.
And we've continued to ask the Vance County Sheriff for more information on this case. They have not provided any more updates, but they did say that this is an active investigation and that the SBI is now involved.
And as usual, per Javion McGee, they have no information. It's an active investigation from the SBI. But again, you hear the story of him jumping over the median. So if he jumped over the median, that means he was on the side of the median where his car was. And then all of a sudden he jumps back in the car and takes them on the chase. Now, in this video, you hear they say he ran between two houses before being shot. It didn't say he was in the middle of the road with a bottle threatening the officer. So that article was from the day up. And that last article that you that last video that you just saw was from today. So they had time enough to concoct this cockamamie story of him threatening the officer with a broken bottle. Now, you also saw the charges that were warrants for it. Fictitious tags and no operator's license or expired registration. Those are misdemeanors, right? But now here you're going to hear Sheriff Brame in this news conference talk about all of the other charges. And you can see it in his eyes. Like, yeah, see, he was a bad guy. And let keep in mind, he was out on bond for this, that, and the other. What does that have to do with him being executed by your deputy who is alone? And you're going to see the smirk on his face when he talks about his deputies operating alone. Let's look at this, the rest of this press conference.
Followed the lawful attempt to take Mayfield into custody at that time. Mayfield refused to comply with the commands from the deputy, and a brief foot chase ensued. Mayfield ran across numerous lanes and oncoming traffic on US 1 and returned to his vehicle, entered into the driver's seat of his vehicle, and continued his flight on the vehicle from deputy, leaving the female occupant of his vehicle on the side of the highway. The deputy continued to pursue Mayfield into Henderson North on US 1. The vehicle pursuit ended after Mayfield wrecked his vehicle on West Bale Street in the city limits of Henderson. Mayfield exited his vehicle and fled again. The deputy exited his patrol vehicle and began pursuing Mayfield on foot a second time. Mayfield continued his flight on West Young Avenue. As the deputy continued to pursue on West Young Avenue, Mayfield walked into the roadway carrying a glass bottle and began to walk towards the deputy, stating, "I'm going to you." The deputy drew his weapon and began to bag.
All right, let's stop right there. He said as the deputy was pursuing him, he walked towards the deputy. So when you're pursuing somebody, somebody's running from you. Once again, the story doesn't make sense. You have to listen very carefully. He said that as the deputy was pursuing him, he was walking in the road towards the deputy. Either you're pursuing him or you're not. You can't do both at the same time. Let's continue.
Backwards away from Mayfield. As he continued to step backwards, Mayfield continued to move forward. Again, Mayfield stated, "I'm going to you." While attempting his distance from Mayfield, the deputy lost his footings and fell on his back. As the deputy fell on his ground, Mayfield broke the glass bottle that was in his hand on the roadway and continued to walk towards the deputy, now with the remainder of the broken glass bottle in his right hand, stating again, "I'm going to you." The deputy regained his footing and stood up facing Mayfield, and Mayfield lunged at the deputy with the broken bottle in his hand. The deputy discharged his weapon, striking Mayfield. The deputy reported over the radio that shots had been fired and requested emergency assistance. The deputy and other units attempted life-saving measures on Mayfield until such time EMS arrived on the scene. The deputy involved in this incident has been placed on administrative leave, and this case is pending. Lead investigating team is the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. Evidence was preserved, recordings was preserved, and we do have that in our evidence at this time.
Now, does anybody believe that story? Like, he doesn't even believe. He's stumbling and bumbling over the story because he knows that it's unbelievable. But because he's the sheriff and because whatever they say goes, he knows that, but watch these questions that come at him and watch how he stumbles over these questions.
Just to be clear, Sheriff, when you say recordings, do you mean there's body cameras?
Body-worn cameras and dashboard cameras on the patrol vehicle.
Did Mr. Mayfield have any other weapon other than the broken glass that you're describing?
No, sir.
Talk a little bit, if you would, Sheriff, about the woman that was in the car and left on the side.
Don't know a lot about the young lady. She was a passenger in the vehicle with Mayfield. When the deputy stopped her, she exited the vehicle. The deputy asked him to get back in the vehicle. Mayfield left her standing beside the highway.
The woman mentioned there was the use of mace in that initial stop. Can you confirm whether any mace was used?
You can see it on the video. The deputy's holding the mace's hand, but he never utilized it.
Was there anything found in that vehicle?
Like I said, this is a preliminary investigation. It's conducted by the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. They are handling the investigation, so anything related to that had to be asked to them or the district attorney here in Vance County.
Can you share the nature of the warrants that drew the attention?
Yes, sir. 1 second. The outstanding processes was an order for arrest for assault with a deadly weapon with a $10,000 bond, and an order for arrest for carrying a concealed weapon with $5,000 bond. And I also want to mention that Mayfield was out on a $185,000 bond for charges in Vance County: robbery with a dangerous weapon, conspire robbery with a dangerous weapon, and possession of a stolen firearm. In Warren County, he pending charges: felony larceny of a motor vehicle, assault with a deadly weapon with the intent of inflicting serious injuries. He was out on those bonds when my deputy approached him.
And again, just to be clear, your deputy was alone with all of
My deputy was alone, yes.
What's his record like?
He's a young officer. He's been with us since 2023. Doesn't have anything in his file regarding the disciplinary action whatsoever.
Is it standard procedure for deputies to be working alone on these types of files, or is this depending on?
Yes, sir. Deputy sheriffs and highway patrolmen and police officers will work alone, yes.
Sheriff, what was the reason for the traffic stop in the first place?
Speeding, yes.
Was the woman able to provide any information to officers at all being handled by SBI?
That he had to ask SBI for that.
What were the top speeds clocked on the speed?
I do not have that information on the top speed. I know it was an excessive speed, traveling from US 1 all the way to Henderson, probably about a 12-mile route.
Have you had an opportunity, or has the Mayfield family reached out to the Vance County Sheriff's Office to request information or have a chance to?
I spoke with the Mayfield family this morning. I had talked to them before I do the press release to give it to the public. We had a general conversation. They know that the video is this, and there's a procedure in order for them to see that, and I expressed to them how it will be handled.
Will you all be petitioning the court to release that video publicly?
Yes, we will.
Sheriff, can you confirm Johnnie Mayfield's age and also the name and age of the woman?
I do not have any information on the young female. I did not know her. She was not involved. She was exited out of the vehicle once the pursuit started, and she was not there at the incident where the young man met, so I don't have any information on her. I do not know the age of Mr. Mayfield.
The outstanding warrants, you mentioned what the charges were for. Can you tell us what counties those are out of, the two outstanding warrants?
Yes, ma'am. Both Vance County. Yes.
So your deputy was aware of Mayfield just based on prior interactions?
No, just when he stopped him, standard operating procedure is to inquire and see if there are any outstanding processes on anyone we encounter on a motor vehicle traffic stop.
You have seen the body-worn camera footage yourself. What is your takeaway about what happened? How did it look to you?
I can't discuss that at this time. Like I said, this is an ongoing investigation, and we're going to ask the people to not jump to conclusion or draw conclusion. Give us the opportunity, the SBI, the opportunity to investigate this case properly. That's why I called them. I want to be transparent in what we're doing.
Was the vehicle registered to Mayfield or another individual?
Another individual.
Were you able to contact that individual to figure out?
No, sir. We're allowing the SBI to do all the investigation.
Sheriff, would you take us back and maybe speak a little bit more about the distance between your deputy and Mr. Mayfield when he was shot? Were they close to one another, or, because I heard he tried to jump over a fence?
Like I said, this is an ongoing investigation. Like I read from a statement, the deputy fell on his back. When he come up on his foot, Mr. Mayfield was still lunging at him with the broken glass bottle in his hand.
I gotta stop it right there. Did you hear that guy? He was like, well, could you give us some clarity? Because, there was something said that I heard he tried to jump over a fence. And you see his eyes? He knows the truth, that the man was probably trying to jump over the fence and got shot. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit, and then I'm going to let it play. Were they close to one another? Because I heard he tried to jump over a fence, which is probably the truth.
Like I said,
you see how long it took him to answer that question. He had to look down at his notes. Nothing there, Brame. You wasn't prepared for him knowing the truth, was you?
This is an ongoing investigation. Like I read from a statement, the deputy fell on his back. When he come up.
Like I read from a statement, the deputy fell on his back. He's telling you, look, not like I said it's true, but like I read from the statement that they put together.
On his foot, Mr. Mayfield was still lunging at him with the broken glass bottle in his hand. The distance, I do not know. Whether it was 5 feet, 10, or 20 feet, I do not know.
Can you tell us how the deputy is doing right now?
He's young. He's going to need our prayers and our thoughts and comfort. I can't imagine what he's going through. This is my 41st year in law enforcement. I never had to shoot anyone. Pray to God that I never have to. So, don't get me wrong. I have condolences for the family and their loss of their loved one. But I still, at the end of the day, I have to look after my deputies and my officers, and we're going to be there for him to make sure he gets the support that he needs.
All right. I have, he has our prayers and condolences, and we're going to make sure he gets the support that he needs. Oh, don't get me wrong. I had some sympathy for the family, but the family is irrelevant, right? Like when they started talking about the deputy, he started smiling. Yeah, he got enough. He got that stripe on his shoulder, so we're gonna have to bring him through the process. Man, if y'all believe that story, like I said, I got some beachfront land in Antarctica, prime real estate, that I can sell you for dirt cheap. So this whole press conference, he's reading from a statement. And you can see when the reporters who are investigators, just like that guy probably investigated, spoke to neighbors, spoke to people off the record, and said, nah, he was trying to jump a fence. And when he posed that question to Brame looked at him and looked down. Well, like I read from the statement, the deputy, he fell on his foot and he fell on the ground, and he kept lounging at him with the bottle, and just like I said, like, man, this whole thing stinks, man. And they have the proverbial SBI investigation, which I explained during the Javion McGee case, that certain SBI officers are assigned to certain districts and jurisdiction. So that SBI officer who is going to investigate this case normally works with Sheriff Brame and all of the deputies. So he is probably normally going to side with them. That's why the SBI never hardly brings back an adverse decision that opposes the hometown sheriff. It's only the FBI that can do that because they have no working relationship with that department. And then he mentioned the lady, Miss Bullock. Well, I have no information on her. Everyone knows from the Javion McGee case that the Bullocks are it is a well-known name in Vance County, you know, and actually she looks like one of the Bullocks that, you know, was not involved, you know, in a detrimental matter, but involved in finding the body of Javion. She actually looks like one of them. And my condolences to her too, and you know, even her unborn child. But you know, then they go on and say, well, was anything in the vehicle? Well, you have to ask the SBI, you know, about that. You know, he can't discuss this and he can't discuss that. But when the guy asked him, well, is it normal procedures for deputies, you know, to operate alone? Yeah, you know, all deputies and highway patrolmen and sheriffs, yeah, we operate alone. When is that? You know, if you on a pursuit with the guy, you supposed to call for backup, right? What? This guy was supposedly chased twice from 2 different locations and there was no backup call. And this guy said he's been on the force for 2 years. Maybe he's 23, maybe he's 25, or maybe he's an older gentleman who's been shipped from another county for, you know, doing something to somebody. And once again, the warrants. You see how happy he was? Oh yeah, he was. Now, not to mention, he was on bond for $185,000. You know, warrant for conspired robbery and you know, possession of a stolen firearm, and you know, he not to mention those in Warren County. You know, assault with a deadly weapon and intent to kill. You know, just running the man in the ground. So what does that do? Oh yeah, this guy, you know, he was a menace to society. But if that's the case, he wouldn't have been out on bond. You know, but this whole thing stinks. I've done enough research and intel on the Vance County Sheriff Department to know that this is definitely already has every sign of a cover-up. As you heard Brame say, I'm going to stick by his deputies. As we know from the other 3 deputies that are currently under federal or SBI investigation and, you know, was actually charged and maybe even convicted of crimes, and he still stuck by those deputies. That deputy that was caught on tape slamming an elementary student, he stuck by that deputy. So that is what he does, you know, and I can just see, I can feel the pure evil emanate from that man through my computer screen as I'm watching. And I don't know if you guys felt the same thing, but that man is definitely full of something that is inhumane. And so, once again, prayers and condolences to the family of Johnnie Mayfield and May Bullock and the unborn child and any of his relatives. As the sister said, we haven't seen the body yet, and we all know, you know, how they, you know, shift and shape and, you know, do those autopsies. So they may be trying to cover that up as well. Once again, you heard the reporter clear as day said, I heard he was trying to jump a fence. Trying to jump a fence, you can't be approaching an officer with, you know, a broken bottle. How close was it? Well, I don't know. Just like I said in the statement that I read, you know, the officer was falling back, and you know, he pulled his weapon, and Lord have mercy on us. Psalms 82, verses 2 through 4. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and the fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Deliver the poor and the needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. That is our plea. That is our plea. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings.